Hello and welcome to another video on this channel. Today we will go to our Ubuntu server, install PostgreSQL database and also pgAdmin, which will be useful for the future to manage this database. So let's hop into the console and see what we will be doing today. Alright, so we are on our Ubuntu server. If you didn't know how we installed it, I will link the video down below. So today we want to install PostgreSQL database, one of the most popular relation databases. So let's hop into the Google and let's search for PostgreSQL. We will be taken to the main PostgreSQL website. And here we will go to download and check our system. So we'll be using Linux and specifically Ubuntu, but you can use macOS, Windows, more of the OSs. So today we'll be going through Linux, but as you can see, you can adjust your workflow to other system. Then we will take Ubuntu, and the installation process will be very simple. It will be a matter of using just the package manager. But firstly, let's do apt update so that we can update all the packages. Okay, what was the password here? Sorry. It's a very common practice to do the update before installing anything else so that the newer version of packages can be checked out. And then it's a matter, as the description is, install PostgreSQL. So sudo apt install. I will do -y so that we won't be asked any questions if we want to do so. PostgreSQL. Now the install process will begin. It shouldn't take a lot of time. And our Postgres database is installed. Let's see sudo systemctl. What is the status? PostgreSQL. And it's active and it's enabled. So this will also be start at every start of the system. So that's good. So right now, let's go to password settings. So when Postgres is being installed, there is a special user called Postgres being done. So let's switch to it. And let's run psql, which is a CLI for SQL database. Now we would like to change a password on this default user. So let's do an SQL query. About SQL and queries we'll be learning a lot in the future, and for sure we will find videos about that. So let's do alter user Postgres with password, and let's write here a password. Let's say briefly, let's call it briefly pwd. Let's do also a semicolon at the end. So we altered the role. Let's quit. And right now, let's go to another thing. So installing pgAdmin. pgAdmin is a PostgreSQL tool. It has a desktop version and web version. We will install today a web version, but let's see that. So let's go to download. And as you can see, you have many other types of the installation. You can do source, you can do Windows, you can use macOS, you can do it from Python, from container, whatever. We'll be using apt, which is a package manager for Ubuntu. And the installation here will also be very easy. So we will set up the repository. Let's do a sudo on that. Let's quit the Postgres also. So let's do a sudo here. Let's take this one. And then it's a matter of installing the package. So if you will do only pgAdmin 4, it will install both the desktop and web mode. We will be doing only web, so I will pick this one. You can also install the desktop version with nice UI, but we will have a UI in the web. So let's do install. I didn't do -y like before, so now we need to approve. And after the installation, there will be a setup step. And this will be actually the last step before launching it. So we need to wait a moment for the installation to process. All right, and last step, configuration. Email address and password to use for the initial pgAdmin user account. So let's type it contact at briefly.dev, and let's do password also briefly pwd. Alright, we can now configure the Apache web server for you. This involves enabling the module and configuring pgAdmin application to mount at. Do you wish to continue? Yes. The Apache web server is running and must be restarted. Yes. So we are installing the web-based one, not the desktop one, so it will be using Apache underneath to serve this content. So we are good. Apache successfully restarted. You can now start using pgAdmin 4 in web mode at http pgAdmin. So we'll go to the, we will take this URL, but we will need to change the IP. So this Ubuntu is a virtual machine running under 192.168.1.24. So let's hop into the browser. Let's open another window and let's change that. 192.102.24. Okay, I think that it's loading. Our email address contact.briefly.dev and password briefly pwd. Language English login. I won't save it. And here is our pgAdmin panel. About that we will have separate videos, but here we can run our server. So let's do register a server and let's write our briefly local connection. It will be under localhost, but it will be this IP, so 192.168.1.24. The default port for Postgres is 5432. Maintenance database, it can stay the same, so the basic database by default is being called Postgres. Username, we also have a username of Postgres, and our password briefly pwd. Do we want to save password? Yeah, let's save it. So unable to connect, connection refused. All right, let's check that out. Probably we have a firewall. So let's work out the firewall. I think that we will need to be adding a rule for the firewall to be able to connect. So, all right, so let's get back to the console and let's find the, firstly maybe not the firewall, but let's check the configuration file. So it should be somewhere under etc Postgres 16 mine conf-d, and let's see, sudo nano, let's use nano for that, and let's see what we have here. Should have a PostgreSQL conf here, and let's check some values. Right, HPA, listen address, localhost. So let's do here, let's uncomment that. Let's save it, and then we should also have one more, should be also in PostgreSQL mine pgHBA. And here, let's check that. So here we have address. So we don't want to bind it on localhost, but we want to bind it on 4 zeros /0. So we want to bind it on all interfaces. Let's save that and let's restart that. Sudo systemctl restart PostgreSQL. And let's try to connect one more time. Alright, still nothing. Let's get back to this config and let's throw the listen address defaults to localhost. Use asterisk for all. So that's probably the issue. Let's do it one more time and let's do restart. Let's check maybe if it's working now. Yeah, and we are in our local host. So that video was a little bit longer than I expected due to this debugging, but I think that it's also some kind of a learning for you. So were able today to install PostgreSQL on Ubuntu. We were able to install pgAdmin, and we were also able to change the configuration so that we don't need to go to it through localhost, but we can get to this server from outside of the Ubuntu server. So that's it for today, and see you next time.